Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Got people connecting. Hold on. All right, good deal. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday. Yay. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We're going to be talking about summer transitions today. I'm Amanda Clark. I'm the LaSarge facilitator. I support Southwest and Central Louisiana districts. And I'm joined by Allie, who is one of our facilitators in the greater New Orleans area. She's going to be keeping an eye on the chat and dropping some resources as we go along today. But did you know that there are actually 12 LaSarge facilitators placed throughout the state of Louisiana? That's right. LaSarge partners with school districts, systems, networks, or individual schools to build capacity to serve students with disabilities. We do this through team action planning, providing direct training, and coaching in classrooms. We provide educators with evidence-based strategies to improve academic, social, behavior, and emotional outcomes of students with disabilities. The LaSarge project is housed under the Human Development Center. And the Human Development Center is a resource for people with disabilities, families, service providers, educators, and policymakers. From individuals to systems, HDC builds capacity and inspires change throughout the life cycle to ensure that people with disabilities are able to participate fully in all aspects of community life. HDC has initiatives all the way from birth to adulthood. And so today, our goal is to discuss transitioning from May to August. We know that transitions can be difficult for so many of our learners. And at times, transitions can create anxiety due to feelings of uncertainty for educators, for students, and for families. So our goal for today is to help to decrease some of those feelings. We're here today to help you think ahead to the upcoming new school year and any changes that may bring for your child or for your student. There's planning required for some students to make effective day-to-day changes and transitions. And typically, when we think about a transition to a new grade level or a new school, we need to do it in the months before the school year starts to create a smooth transition and help prepare the student for those changes. They're looking at new expectations, new routines, new social activities, the greater opportunity to expand their friend group, as well as possibly some anxiety about their safety and well-being. So really waiting for the first day of school to recognize what changes might cause a problem is too late. And so let's start by talking about some of the challenges that we might face with that transition. The primary to secondary school transition is one of the most important. And it presents a number of changes and challenges to all young people in their structural, academic, and social terms. Typically, this includes moving from a smaller elementary primary type of school to a middle school or larger secondary school setting. They're having to adapt from having one main teacher to multiple teachers who are experts in their subject area. There's changes in academic and behavioral expectations, as well as exposure to new students, to new older students that they may not have been exposed to before. And as a consequence, secondary school requires higher levels of organization and independence, as well as the social skills to forge new friendships and become an accepted member of a new peer group. And so the learners team should be working together to combat some of this difficulty and to prepare for the big changes and the little changes from teacher to teacher or school to school. Collaboration among school team members and family members is essential for the smooth transition for everyone. And so benefits of early collaboration between educators and families includes that it builds trust amongst the team. It encourages full participation by everyone. We want to incorporate the different viewpoints. It validates everyone's opinion. It can minimize stress of disagreements and can resolve parent-school conflicts early on, as well as building a foundation for an effective collaborative relationship in the future. Because ultimately, we want to make sure that we are taking care of the whole child. And so we should also collaborate with our student. And by collaborating with our student, this can help our student to set goals and to actually also meet goals. It prepares the student for the upcoming changes in the future, and it can provide the necessary supports for a student's success in the inclusive setting. And so we're really going to take a focus on 3 different areas of annual transition plannings. This includes evidence-based practices, family involvement, and building positive relationships. And so we're going to start out with evidence-based practices, which, as you know, that's skills and techniques, strategies that have been proven to be effective through research. And we're really going to focus on 2 primary evidence-based practices today, which include visual supports and priming. And now we've had 2 previous lunch and learns on these topics. So Allie, if you could, please drop the links. Thank you for both of those webinars. And you can also go back and find them in our monthly newsletters. And so let's go ahead and start with visual supports, which we know is any material that illustrates important information, right? It can facilitate transition, convey expectations, but it really provides predictability. So it helps us to know what's going to happen, when is something going to happen, what are the choices, who's coming, what to do, what an activity is, what activity is finished. And there's so many different types of visual supports that they can really be individualized to fit your learner's need area. Priming is exposure to information or activities that for an individual ahead of time. And so priming is especially important if the individual is likely to struggle with a transition or have difficulty with something. This could be as simple as reviewing the schedule at the beginning of the day or the agenda, or even reviewing mini schedules for specific activities that might happen during the day, or looking at, within their specific academic work. We can also let them know what's coming up next. It can be letting the individual know in advance when possible that something is changing or is going to be very different than their norm. And so this change alert is a great visual that is a priming strategy for students. It simply lets them know that instead of this, we are going to do this. So for example, right now we have a lot of this going on. Instead of PE, we're going to go to the award ceremony in the gym. That's vastly different. Instead of going to the bus to ride home today, you're going to be a car rider. And so by priming your learner ahead of time, you will help ensure some predictability, which helps individuals stay calm and collected. And that's our goal. It helps them to accept that change. Another example of priming would be using this social narrative. This particular one discusses that the schedule is going to be different and that there are emotions and actions that accompany that difference. So it says, I follow the same schedule every day at school. School is over now and summer has begun. My schedule will be different during summer vacation. When my schedule is different, it makes me upset. It's okay to be upset, but it's not okay to hit, scream, or throw things. My parents will make me a new summer schedule. I will look at my new summer schedule each morning to prepare for the day. I will try to follow my schedule and use my words to express how I am feeling. Using my words will make my parents happy. So on this next slide, we've now introduced our learner to the idea that the schedule will change. We've used a social narrative to introduce this idea. We've primed the learner for that. The next thing is to actually show them what that looks like. And so I love how the picture on the right the schedule is posted, and it's posted on the refrigerator, which we know, especially during summer with kids, is a high traffic area, and it's easily referenced. It's broken down by events and not time limits, which is really great to increase some flexibility. Another great visual priming strategy to use is a transition book, which is just a visual guide that can help prime students to navigate their real life transitions. And so it'll help them navigate those upcoming changes. And in this first example, we see that we are targeting the grade to grade transition. And so we're doing this by introducing the new teacher. This is Miss Amy. She will be my new teacher. We paired this with a visual so that our learner can become familiar with who that person is. And then we went a step further and said, let's look at all of the centers in Miss Amy's class. So their setting is changing. It's going to be different than what it was in their previous year. And so by having a picture, it solidifies what they might be looking for, creating a little bit more predictability and allowing a little less uncertainty. In this particular example, the learner is moving from one school to another school. So this transition books, it features the new school and lets the learner know that what the start of the expectations are. So really, you're going to want to target anything that might be difficult. So we're letting them know that in August, I'm going to be going to a new school. We also have a real life picture on the right of what the school is actually going to look like. That way, when they drive up via parent pickup or whether it's a bus transition, they know what they're looking at. And so then we go on to say that when I arrive at school, I will get off of the bus and walk into the office. And so we can see right there that when they get off the bus, they're going to walk down this hallway, this corridor, and what the double doors actually look like when they go to open the double doors, creating more of a sense of predictability for our learner. And so another area for this particular student was transitioning into the cafeteria. And so we say, here is the school cafeteria. I will eat my breakfast and lunch in here with my friends from my class. And so again, it creates a sense of predictability for the student. So as educators, how can we help? How can families be involved with helping a smooth school, summer, back to school transition? So we know that as educators, fostering the relationship between families and caregivers is vital. And to aid in this tricky transition, one of the best things we can do as educators is communicate with the families and caregivers about both the progress and the challenges from the school year. This should be done before the school year ends. And during this meeting is also a great time to let families know about what strategies you have been using to help their learner be successful at school. For example, are they using a visual schedule daily? Do they reference visuals around the classroom, or do they have a transition item that helps them go from room to room? Do they use visual charts in the restroom to help sequence the steps of toileting? Send home examples and be collaborative with your family members. Educational teams, including related service providers, can collaborate to create a binder to prime the learner in upcoming events of their school year. And so the binder may include things like transition books, pictures of future service providers, any kind of school-based expectations, and even maps of the school. Educational teams can give this binder to families or caregivers at the end of the year meeting, or it could be sent home with the student on the last day of school so that they can show their child over the summer. And if your learner is adjusting to a new school, or possibly if they were, in a school that might be multi-level, a great way to help support your learner is to get a school map. You can show your learner the map and highlight areas where their classes are going to be and take place for the upcoming school year. And you could also include visual supports that are frequently referenced at school to help provide some consistency for the learner. Obviously, this visual reference is the toileting reference that's in the student's classroom, bathroom. But what about if your student is going into something completely new? For example, a brand new routine. They are going to be dressing in and dressing out for PE. The best way we could do it is we could send home a visual support of what that will look like to help start priming the learner to know what dressing out for PE is. Parents can review this new task, and they can even have their child practice dressing in and out to support them for their new environmental change that they're going to have. And we know that many students struggle with opening their locker. So if possible, parents could buy a locker and practice at home and use this visual reference as a step-by-step guide to help their learner walk through how to open their locker, which can create quite a lot of stress. And so a copy of this visual could even be kept in the learner's backpack for a reference as the school year begins. Now we're going to turn our focus to creating positive relationships early on between the student and the teachers, as well as the teachers and the families. A great communication tool between teacher, learner, home, and new teacher is really creating this All About Me tool, which would also be helpful for students who are attending things like extended school year or summer camp or tutoring, programs like that. It's really right now is the perfect time of year for teachers to work on the All About Me project with their learner because it's fun. And the learner could share this project with their new prospective teachers if they're on the same campus, or the special education teacher or general education teacher could send it across to the new campus in a cumulative folder. This information, really best practice would be to be shared as early as possible in areas like such as the last week of school or the first week of teacher PD. And so now I'd like to take the opportunity to listen to Ms. Beard as she talks about the positive impact that All About Me can provide.
We don't have any sound, Amanda.
Well, okay. Well, let me tell you about what Ms. Beard talks about. So Ms. Beard in this video is actually talking about how at the end of the year, she provides students with the All About Me project. And what they do is they use it to transition from grade to grade. What she did is she went a step further to help her students really feel included in her school environment. She did this great job of establishing a positive rapport early on by having their All About Me's displayed whenever they did a Meet the Teacher Day. And so she did a great job of making them feel a part of the classroom culture from day one. And so, although it feels very, very far away, school will soon be back up and started in session. So parents and caregivers, you can actually also make your own All About Me project. And this can include things like successes, progress, challenges, therapies, and even input from your child. This will provide your new teacher with relevant information that will help them better understand the student and their behaviors in the school environment. Remember to have fun when writing this informational guide because it really should be positive and personal. And so here's a great example. This parent did a great job of including many topics that support her learner in his All About Me. The parent covered topics that included supports that are in place at home and things that might be beneficial at the school. The topics included that for this student are visual schedules and countdowns, his unique abilities, sense of humor, sense of time, peer interactions, his interpretation of classroom rules, his current communication abilities, the need for breaks, making choices, as well as his own unique special interests. All of these things create a positive transition for the student because the teacher knows talking points and how to engage the student early on. And so in conclusion, parents and families, we really want to encourage you to collaborate with your school to get to know your child's environment. Some of the things that you can do is to reach out to the administrator for contact information for who your child's special ed or regular education teachers may be. Request a transition book from your child's school with different pictures around the school campus, things like the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and auditorium, as well as pictures of the classroom. Request a copy of the potential daily schedule or a map of the school to help navigate the campus. And then request a meet and greet with all of your child's teachers to address any concerns or questions. And don't forget to meet with your child's teachers of specials, such as art and music, PE, and even the librarian who can be a great support for your child. And so in the chat, Allie's going to drop a great resource that the Louisiana Department of Ed released recently called the Family Summer Support Toolkit. Please feel free to look through it and share it. And I think we're going to link it on our Facebook as well for ease of access. Perfect. As well as free online resources on our website at lasard.org. There you can find resources for educators, related service providers, and family members. And don't forget, we have our Ask Lasard button for questions. If you have questions about your classroom or student needs, fill out a form and one of our Lessard facilitators will get back with you. And we would love for you to stay in touch and hear about your summer. Never miss a thing by signing up for our newsletter at lessard.org/resources. And you can also follow us on our social media accounts at Facebook, lessard.project, or on Instagram at project_Lessard. Throughout the year, we post tips for families and educators. And we are now accepting districts to come in contract with us for the 2023-2024 school year. If you think your district is interested in exploring services, please contact Julie Riley via email to set up a meeting. And we would love to hear about topics that you would love to learn about. The QR code will pop up on the next screen as well, along with our contact information. And we would really appreciate if you could take a minute to provide us some feedback. If you have any questions, please feel free to come off of mute and drop them in the chat. And we really thank you for spending your lunch with us today. Don't forget to connect with us on our socials because we can't wait to hear about all of your summer adventures. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. I also put back in the chat the lunch and learns you referenced earlier for the people that have come later. So we have links to lunch and learns for our visual cues, visual schedules, and priming.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. And they can also all be found in our on lessard.org/resources in our newsletter areas. Under news, they can find them there as well. All right. Let's see.